Hello, I am Stephen Houston, one of the core developers with Fyne and Fynedesk. If you did the Fyne conference in the fall, you might remember I did a presentation on Fynedesk. Um, since then, we've done a few things to stabilize it and put out a release. And of course, we do have our develop branch, which is a good bit ahead and has a lot of features and a lot of modernization for Fynedesk. Um, I apologize if my voice doesn't sound great. I'm a little under the weather today, but we're going to get through it. Um, my slides here do not have a lot of graphics because I figure at the end I just show in real time anything I cover rather than using images. We I would probably say Fynedesk is currently one of the biggest projects out there using Fyne as far as an application goes. Um, Unfortunately, for obvious reasons, it is not a cross-platform application because it's specifically for Linux desktop currently. It's a Linux desktop environment, in case you don't know what it is. And it does window management, it does application launching, it does taskbars, notification management, anything like this that you would expect your normal Linux desktop to handle. So, um, with that being said, we can jump right in to talking about what was in the 0.1.3 release. The first thing we did was we added initial support for BSD systems, FreeBSD, NetBSD, OpenBSD that are out there. Fynedesk should run and be supported on any of the BSDs, um, which is cool. I think I just spent a lot of time saying that this was Linux only, but BSD too. Um, we improved wording for the account menu when in embedded mode. So embedded mode is you can actually run Fynedesk on any platform, Windows, Mac, or anything like that to get an embedded mode. It will not do any window management or anything like that. It's just more of a demo or more of a helper for if we're doing development and we're on a different platform and we need to see a visual change or something like that we've done. Um, we added a app bar configuration screen. We have an app bar that is full of icons that you can launch and also manages tasks, serves as a task bar as well. And we added a configuration screen for that app bar that um, looks quite nice and allows you to decide what your default applications are in there and what the size and scale of the icons is and the icon theme used and that sort of thing. We updated the default background for winter scene. Obviously, that happened back in the winter, and we're not in the winter anymore, so we may be changing that. But there is support for choosing and picking your own background, so you don't have to stick with the winter scene that we added. Um, we did rename the Fynedesk package on GitHub. It was desktop, and in order to be more consistent with our naming and with Fyne and with the fact that we call Fynedesk, we renamed the package from Fyne.io to desktop. We changed that to Fynedesk. Hopefully you didn't see that bump in the road and you just kind of pulled in the change automatically. But if you didn't and you've been wondering where your Fynedesk um, repository is or why it hasn't been updated, perhaps you were on the old one and you would like to pull down the new package, and it is Fyne.io, or on GitHub Fyne-io Fynedesk. There were a lot of fixes in 0.1.3 that really went to stabilize Fynedesk. We had some issues with GoLand, losing focus on mouse click. It's possible that any of these fixes that we did that were application specific also fixed other applications that we just weren't aware of. For the instance of GoLand losing focus on mouse click, well, we were trying to focus GoLand on mouse click because we do click to focus in Fynedesk, but a lot of applications also would rather manage their own focus within the application. So once we give it an original focus, we've got to pass the focus request to the application for the application to do as it pleases, rather than automatically focusing as it goes. So that was the GoLand fix, and that's a good example of how I'm sure there's other applications out there that were fixed by that. We had some flickering on window borders. We fixed that. We added a lot of sizing fixes for windows, where you can't resize smaller than the minimum requested window size, and you can't size out past the maximum screen size, and this would also block maximization of windows more than just manually resizing. If the screen size is larger than the max size of the window, we'll turn off maximization, which we do visually through a disabled max button. You'll see that on fixed size windows too. So some nice visual hints there and fixes added. We updated to the latest Fyne release so that we pulled in the new scale work that we've been doing on Fyne, which is a cleaner way of handling scale, and I've seen a lot of questions about it. I'm not sure if Andy or anybody else has covered it, or if they're going to cover it, but rather than simply having a user configured scale, we kind of take a operating system configured scale, and we allow a user scale to be put on top of it, and we combine the two to generate what our output scale is going to be. One of the big things is it gets the initial scale you'll see before configuring Fyne a lot closer to what the rest of the applications and things you're seeing on your desktop are. It really does get that initial scale right, but it does still allow you to configure. I know we had questions about did we remove the ability to configure. No, we didn't. If your system scale was 1 and you configured to a scale of 1.5, you're going to have a net scale of 1.5. What we do is, with the user configuration, is we take anything above 1 as being a plus, and anything below 1 as being a minus. So if your user scale was 0.5, your net scale with system would be 0.5, 1.0 minus 0.5. So that's kind of how it works. Still there, you can still configure. It just helps get the initial scale correct, and it's really important and matters on the desktop project, where we're doing a lot of things with scale, especially multi-screen, and trying to get it right, and also get it right across multiple toolkits. Drag and drop targets not found for many applications, so we got drag and drop working for most applications. There's still one that's not working. We'll figure it out and get it fixed and develop here soon. But most applications now can handle drag and drop. VLC was opening a lot of different windows, or at least it would appear so if you were following your taskbar. We fixed that. I'm sure that fixed other applications as well. There was a lot of graphical glitches when using Qt apps if our scale was less than 1. So that was certainly something that was possible. Again, if we had a system scale of 1 and we had a user scale of 0.5 and we were scaling down to something small, we were getting glitches graphically, visually with Qt, and we figured out that the Qt scale factor doesn't accept or take a scale of less than 1. So we fixed that. We improved loading of Mac OS apps and icons in embedded mode. Again, you're not going to get any window management or any real features of Fyne, but you will be able to see some of your Mac applications and icons as stubs. Let's talk a little bit about the develop branch. This is kind of where we work off of when we're developing Fynedesk. It's going to be your most up-to-date place. It's going to have the coolest features. It's also going to have it's also going to be less stable, as it is the feature development arena for what we're doing. I still use it daily and find it to be stable enough to use, but it will not be as stable as a release, obviously. But that's where we are, and that's where we keep the development going. We have some cool things hanging out in the develop branch right now. Andrew added module support so that we can have external modules or things like that, internal, external modules written that we can load into Fynedesk. Currently, we have 2 different kinds of modules. We have status area modules and we have screen area modules. The status area modules will go in the status area, which we'll see when we kind of do a demo of Fynedesk here in a minute. And the screen area module can go anywhere on the screen, basically cover the background, however it's configured. We've worked on the XR&R multi-head support with scaling, specifically done a lot of work with mixed DPI. You know, if you have one normal DPI monitor and one high DPI monitor, you know, how are applications moving between the two? How do they look? What the scale on each monitor is? This kind of thing. So we did a lot of work with that. We improved the package structure, which isn't a visual change of Fynedesk or anything like that, but we sat back and Andrew and I did a lot of talking about, you know, what the different packages within Fynedesk looked like from a code standpoint, what our separation or encapsulation was, how we were going to look at that, and how we could set it up to where we could build it out in the future to possibly support further things or further back ends or that kind of thing, and be able to reuse, maximize the most amount of code that we could. So that was a big change. It was kind of a tedious change, but we did it to improve our code base going forward, which is something we always feel is important, is having the right structure and base to build on as you develop forward. We did some improved UI in certain places that's in the develop branch, whether it be in the settings panel or borders or buttons or icons, that kind of thing, just some tweaks here and there. And then we spent a good bit of time lately doing specific application fixes. We talked about in the 0.1.3 release how we had some specific fixes for Goland. We've got more of those type of fixes on our develop branch. I think when you are developing a window manager, and it's something that Andrew and I have done a lot, one of the ways that you develop is, you know, you run your applications, your day-to-day applications, you see how they go. Other users are running their applications. Nobody exactly runs the same set of applications, and you see problems or you see bugs or areas that need to be fixed as you run your applications, and you address those problems from a standpoint of getting the X code behind it to support that application. And so while it may appear that we're fixing one specific application, which was the point, it's probably fixing a lot of other applications that we're not even aware of. But just a testing standpoint, a day-to-day use standpoint, that's seemingly how you get a lot of your fixes and problem areas identified and fixed. So that's something we do pretty often. We could talk about the roadmap for the future, kind of where we're looking at going just from conversations and talking, and we'll continue to do, like I just mentioned, application fixes. We'll continue running applications. The more users that jump on and use Fynedesk, the better. They'll have their own sets of applications. They'll find and identify problems, and we'll get in there and fix them. And that's how we stabilize more and more going forward. System tray. We're going to add a system tray. It's something that is very requested. I think we'll probably do it in tandem with adding some kind of tray support to Fyne, so that Fyne applications can create system tray icons or tray area icons. There's some debate about it with it being cross-platform and how it's handled on mobile, but we'll get it all figured out, and that's probably when it's going to hit. One of the things I didn't mention in the develop branch is we've added a layer over dbus that gives us the opportunity to tap into a lot of the dbus stuff that a Linux desktop could take advantage of, whether that be policy kit for authorization, notifications, application notifications that go in the notification area. Well, I think one of the next steps is networking support, so we can use our dbus layer to tap into Network Manager, for instance, and set up a module for networking support, which is a goal there. I say here default applications written in Fyne, but that's kind of as we keep building out and we add like networking support and we add modules and we add default applications written in Fyne. What we're looking at is really creating or developing an application ecosystem, so it's not just the desktop of Fynedesk, but if you so choose, you get a pretty good ecosystem of Fyne apps to go with it, and a very visual pleasing experience because of that. And then the two big ones we always get asked about that, yes, they're on the agenda for some point. We're thinking about them. We're talking about them. Yes, we know that compositing is a big thing, and we know that Wayland is a big thing that we would like to support, and we're going to get there. They're big changes. When we do things like rethinking our package layout and our file hierarchy and what we have in different types and interfaces within our code, and we redo it like we've done recently to be able to build out. We're thinking about things like Wayland. That's what's on our mind. How much of this is X specific, how much of this is Wayland specific, and how much of this can we share between the two? Those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about and that do cross our mind. So it's there. We're thinking about it. We're working on it. It's going to happen. There's not a date yet or a specific release in mind, but it's on the way and it's going to happen. So that's kind of an update of where we are with the release, where we are on the develop branch currently, and what we're looking at doing in the future for Fynedesk. So what we can do is we can take a look at Fynedesk, which you're now seeing. The entire presentation was ran through Fynedesk. Just a quick look here at Goland. You can see kind of our layout, and you can see how we have separated window client frame stuff from WM window manager specific things. That's just an idea there of one way in which we're doing separations, hopefully thinking that maybe this window section can be something that we can reuse, whereas the window management section may be more specific as we look at things like Wayland. We talked about the app bar, and you can see how you can remove icons from there. You can add icons that are sitting here in the taskbar area. It's got a nice little animation to it. You have this application launcher. You can type. You get filled in with responses. You click to open. And you've got your applications there. Your user menu down here in the right. You can kind of see an about page for Fynedesk. And then we can get into the settings, which is where we made some changes for 0.1.3 as well as others. You've got scale settings here. You can change your scale. I'm on small scale currently, but you can go large and get a refresh there of what's going on. And you can see now by looking at the app bar and our settings screen that the scale has been adjusted. You look at appearance, we can choose icon themes. We can choose a background image using our new file dialog that was introduced in Fyne. The app bar configuration screen, we can add icons, we can delete them, we can change the order in which they are displayed, we can control icon size and how they zoom when moused over. Anything like that. You can see the launcher works. We have a Alt tab for switching between all of our different open applications. And as you Alt tab, it'll focus the different windows that you Alt tab between. So that's kind of an overview where we're at. It's quite usable. I think I'm out of time here. I wish I could have gone through more. Perhaps I should have talked less and done more demonstration. But you are welcome to come hang out in the Fynedesk channel on the Gophers Discord. Install it, give it a try, play with it. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty stable. It works well. And feel free to contribute to it as well. And we do have other videos out there on our YouTube channel if you want to see more of Fyne in action.